The world changed the moment when the first atomic bomb lit up the desert sky of New Mexico, and so did the man behind it. I am talking about Julius Robert Oppenheimer, who was just chasing pure knowledge, but accidentally unlocked the power to destroy the whole world by creating the first atomic bomb. But how did someone so intelligent end up haunted by his own creation? Stay with me, because in this video, we'll uncover the rise, the regret, and the moment when Oppenheimer realized he had gone too far. The man behind the fire. Before he became known as the destroyer of worlds, J. Robert Oppenheimer was just a skinny, awkward genius from New York who loved books, art, and science. He wasn't the tough military type or a power-hungry man. He was soft-spoken, polite, and had this strange mix of arrogance and insecurity that made him hard to read. Born in 1904, Oppenheimer grew up in an upper-class family. His parents weren't scientists. His dad was a textile importer. But young Robert was obsessed with understanding how the universe worked. By the time most kids were learning to ride a bike, he was reading about quantum physics. At Harvard, he graduated in just 3 years, and later studied under some of the most brilliant minds in Europe, like Max Born and Niels Bohr. But behind that brilliance was a fragile mind. He struggled with depression, isolation, and a painful sense of perfectionism. Still, when World War II began, and rumors spread that Nazi Germany might be working on an atomic weapon, Oppenheimer saw something terrifying, and a challenge he couldn't walk away from. That's when the US government approached him. They wanted him to lead a secret mission to build the world's first nuclear bomb before Hitler did. And even though Oppenheimer hated war, he said yes. Because deep down, he believed he could stop something far worse from happening. Crazy, right? A man who loved poetry and philosophy would soon lead the project that created the deadliest weapon in human history. But that decision would change his life and the world forever. Before I tell you how he created the atom bomb, give me a favor and press that subscribe button and hit the bell icon. Building the bomb. Los Alamos, New Mexico. 1943. A remote desert town turned into a top-secret lab. This was the heart of the Manhattan Project. Oppenheimer gathered the brightest minds on Earth: Enrico Fermi, Richard Feynman, Niels Bohr, the kind of people who could casually rewrite the laws of physics over coffee. Their mission? Build an atomic bomb before the Germans did. No pressure, right? What's wild is how Oppenheimer led them. He wasn't a military man barking orders. He was more like a calm conductor guiding an orchestra of chaos. He inspired people, listened to their ideas, and pushed them to think bigger. But deep inside, he was scared. He knew what they were building wasn't just a weapon. It was something that could wipe out entire cities. For 2 years, they worked non-stop. Sleepless nights, endless calculations, constant fear of failure. And then came the moment, July 16, 1945. The first nuclear explosion in human history, code-named Trinity. At 5:29 a.m., the desert lit up brighter than the sun. The explosion was so intense that windows shattered 120 miles away. The shockwave knocked men to the ground. And as the mushroom cloud rose, Oppenheimer whispered those chilling words from the Bhagavad Gita: "Now I am become death, the destroyer of worlds." That day, the atomic age was born, and Oppenheimer's soul started to crack. The real movie connection. Fast forward almost 80 years later, Christopher Nolan's Oppenheimer hit theaters and brought his story back to life. Cillian Murphy played Oppenheimer with this haunting stillness. The way he stared into nothing, the way he spoke, like every word carried the weight of the world. The movie nailed the tension and paranoia of the Manhattan Project. No fancy CGI, no sci-fi effects, just raw, grounded filmmaking. And that Trinity test scene? Pure art. Nolan actually recreated it without computer graphics. They used real explosives and lighting techniques to mimic the nuclear blast. That's commitment. But what makes the movie even more powerful isn't just the science, it's the emotion. It shows Oppenheimer not as a cold genius, but as a man fighting with himself. His love for his wife Kitty, his affair with Jean Tatlock, his constant guilt, it all added layers to his character. It also didn't shy away from his moral breakdown. After Hiroshima and Nagasaki, while the world was celebrating victory, Oppenheimer was drowning in guilt. You could see it in his face. That realization that he didn't just win a war, he had opened a door that humanity could never close again. The movie got a lot right. Oppenheimer's personality? Spot on. The quiet confidence, the cigarette always in hand, the poetic quotes, all true. Even his famous "Destroyer of Worlds" line really happened. Witnesses confirmed he quoted the Bhagavad Gita right after the Trinity test. But Hollywood did take a few creative turns. That intense scene where a crowd cheers after the bomb is dropped? It wasn't exactly real, it was symbolic. In reality, Oppenheimer did give a victory speech, but witnesses said he looked pale and shaken, not triumphant. The movie just used that scene to show his internal conflict, how success and guilt collided inside him. But beyond what was real or not, the bigger truth is how it all ended for Oppenheimer. The man who built the bomb ended up being destroyed by his own country. The fall of the father of the atomic bomb. After the war ended, Oppenheimer was a national hero. The government called him the father of the atomic bomb. He met President Truman, gave speeches, and was celebrated as the man who helped end World War II. But when he saw photos of Hiroshima and Nagasaki, the cities burned, the children suffering, something inside him broke. He couldn't shake the guilt. He once said, "The physicists have known sin, and this is a knowledge they cannot lose." Those weren't just words. They were confessions. Then came the turning point. When America started planning to build the hydrogen bomb, a weapon 1,000 times more powerful than the one dropped on Hiroshima, Oppenheimer spoke out. He warned that an arms race could destroy humanity. That didn't sit well with the government. They turned on him. In 1954, during the Red Scare, he was accused of being a communist sympathizer. They stripped him of his security clearance, publicly humiliated him, and basically erased him from political life. The same country that had celebrated him now treated him like a traitor. He wasn't arrested, but his reputation was gone. He spent his remaining years teaching and reflecting, haunted by the knowledge that his invention could end humanity at the push of a button. He died in 1967 from throat cancer. His voice, the same one that once guided the Manhattan Project, was silenced forever. The man who changed the world. Oppenheimer didn't just build a bomb. He reshaped history. The atomic bomb ended World War II, but it also started something even scarier: the nuclear age. After 1945, the world was never the same. The United States and the Soviet Union entered an arms race that lasted decades. Thousands of nuclear weapons were built, enough to destroy the planet several times over. And every time you hear about nuclear deterrence or mutually assured destruction, that's Oppenheimer's shadow still lingering over humanity. But what made him special wasn't just the science. It was his awareness of what it meant. He once said, "In some crude sense, which no vulgarity, no humor, no overstatement can quite extinguish, the physicists have known sin." He knew that knowledge itself could be dangerous, and that humans weren't ready for the kind of power they had created. In 2022, nearly 70 years after his security clearance was revoked, the US government finally cleared his name. A symbolic gesture, yes, but it showed that history had finally started to see him for what he really was. Not a monster. Not a saint. Just a man who did what he thought was right, and suffered for it. Today, scientists and historians still debate him. Was he a hero who ended the war? Or a man who unleashed hell on Earth? Maybe he was both. So yeah, he built the bomb. But in the end, it broke him too. Oppenheimer was the man who changed the world and paid the price for it. What do you think about this? Share your thoughts in the comments. Hit the like button and subscribe to our channel for more updates. Thanks for watching.